Sony has one of the largest portfolios of beloved franchises that are gathering dust under lock and key. When Medieval got its long-awaited revival at the end of the PlayStation 4 lifecycle, I thought this could be the start of Sony breathing new life into many of its old franchises. Sadly, Medieval came and went, and no sequels or fellow remakes followed. Fast forward to 2025 and we have a new partnership between Sony and Bandai Namco, where we've seen the latter revive Everybody's Golf and remaster portable Sony games Freedom Wars and Patapon, all in the space of just 1 year. Maybe, just maybe, we are seeing the beginnings of a Sony renaissance once again, and if so, these are 6 franchises from Sony's vaults that I really hope we get to see once more. If there's one front that Sony has been lacking behind on for about 3 PlayStation generations now, it's RPGs. At one time, Sony had a lot of first-party RPGs, from The Legend of Dragoon and Ark the Lad to Wild Arms. These days, Sony hasn't had an RPG since White Knight Chronicles on the PlayStation 3. While I would like for any of these to make a comeback, Dark Cloud is the one I think could be so unique in the modern landscape. Dark Cloud and its sequel were both released early into the PlayStation 2 generation, and they combined dungeon crawling action with town building mechanics, making for a really addictive and cozy experience. Essentially, when battling monsters in the dungeons and progressing through the levels, you unlock new buildings and cosmetic items with which you can customize your town with. I would love to see what a Dark Cloud 3 would look like on modern hardware, and how expansive and detailed the town building could become. RPGs can really offer a lot, and it's an area that Sony hasn't paid much attention to for a very long time. Another series we haven't seen since the PlayStation 2 generation is The Getaway. This was Sony's answer to Grand Theft Auto. You had an open world London to cruise around, completing missions, engaging in third-person shooting with some advanced animations and character drama that was really ahead for their time. The Getaway had a big budget but lacked the sales of Rockstar's open world games, which likely led to the cancellation of a third entry. I for one would love to see The Getaway get another chance to shine. With how far open world games have progressed since the PlayStation 2, it's far too exciting to see this idea just left as an idea. Sony doesn't exactly have any recent games that take place in a grounded, modern setting, and with the interest that Mind's Eye and Mafia the Old Country sparked this year, it's clear there is still room for these types of games, even with Grand Theft Auto 6 on the horizon. Horror games these past few years have seen a glorious comeback with fantastic remakes and thrilling new classics. Almost every iconic horror game from the PlayStation 2 has seen some kind of revival. Silent Hill 2, Resident Evil 4, and now even Fatal Frame. But one that continues to be neglected is Sony's own horror franchise. I know many of you are probably wondering, when did Sony make a horror game outside of Until Dawn? Well, Siren was Sony's first survival horror series. Siren had 2 entries on the PS2 and the last one early into the PS3 lifecycle. It even had a movie adaptation in 2006, but after that the series has just disappeared into the night. Sony does still show Siren some recognition in Astrobot, but we're still long overdue a new entry. Siren was more than just a regular survival horror. It had a non-linear narrative, multiple playable characters, and a unique sixth sense mechanic that let you see through the eyes of the enemies. In this modern horror landscape, a Siren 3 or even just a remake of the first game would be very exciting. There was a time during the PlayStation 3 generation where it felt like Sony would never abandon their first-person shooter franchise, Killzone. This was their halo, and Killzone was a true powerhouse for gaming and visual prowess at the time. However, with one misstep with Killzone Shadowfall at the PS4's launch, and just like that, the franchise has been left to gather dust ever since. I know for sure that a new Killzone would generate a lot of excitement and interest in a time where there really isn't that much FPS competition outside of Call of Duty and Battlefield, compared to the PS3 where Killzone thrived amongst a sea of shooters that released every month. With Sony's push for live service games this generation, it has left me completely baffled how Killzone was not their number one answer. It's a well-established franchise, it's beloved by many fans, and it could serve well as a live service game. How Sony fumbled so hard pushing for Concord's success, but abandoning Killzone, it's incomprehensible. However, there's still time to bring Killzone back after a long break, going back to the dark and gritty warfare of the earlier entries. Arcade racing games are just not as popular as they once were, but man, no other series hit for me quite like Evolution Studios' MotorStorm. Racing against all different weight classes, driving through mud that would splash onto the screen and stick to your vehicle, through tall canyons, rivers, and even cities during an earthquake. Races felt intense on all the right levels. You could be far into the lead, but one wrong turn, one bad jump, or simply overheating your turbo boost, and it could spell trouble. While it's great we still have Gran Turismo, Sony is desperately missing out on a fast-paced arcade racer, especially while there's literally no other competition out there right now outside of like kart races and recreation. MotorStorm is also another franchise that would benefit from a live service model, with weekly tournaments, new rides, and customizable content changing seasonally. Don't leave this one out to rush, Sony. MotorStorm is waiting for its comeback tour. With the incredible success of last year's Astrobot even winning Game of the Year award, it can't be denied that now is the time to bring back another platformer from the past. I don't think that Sony has a more unique and interesting platformer in its portfolio than Sly Cooper. Instead of the bouncy, colourful collectathon gameplay you expect from these types of games, Sly Cooper stands out by being more noir, sneaky, and open to roam the hub worlds and complete levels at your own pace. Sly is long overdue a 5th mainline entry, seeing where this series could go with the technology that we have today. The hub worlds could be so much bigger, and he could come with many more stealth moves. Imagine a Sly Cooper that took some notes from the early Assassin's Creed games, maybe even having one large open world to roam and explore. But all of these are just ideas of a rambling fan. What do you think of these games getting a comeback? Of course, there are way more Sony franchises that deserve to come back, and I may make a sequel to this if you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments which Sony franchise you want to see return the most. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.